everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are all good. I'm really excited to share this design with you because I absolutely loved how they turned out. I did something recently and I didn't do a video for it, so I really wanted to get a similar set done so I could record them. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. I'm working on my Glamerliz practice hand. I do have a discount code for Glamerliz, which is always in the description box below, along with any of the products I use and any other discount codes I have, so do check that out. So on to the nails, I'm coming in on the pointer finger and I'm building a extended nail bed, and I'm doing this using all natural from Glitterama. So I've placed my bead down, blended out the back of the bead slightly, and then I'm just using the belly of my brush to pat out that acrylic and the sides of my brush to create the shape of the smile line. So I'm just trying to get it as neat as I can with my brush so I have minimal filing to do. However, whenever I'm doing a extended nail bed or colour blocking, I do always come in and file it crisp anyway. And then I'm applying my cuticle bead. So I've popped that down at the cuticle area. I'm using the tip of my brush to tap it into place, and then the belly of my brush to pull the top of that bead of acrylic down over the previous bead of acrylic, keeping everything as smooth and as even as I can. So I'm keeping my brush fairly wet with monomer just so I'm able to move and manipulate that acrylic into place. And then, like I said, I will leave this to set and we will jump back to this nail further on in the video. So moving on to the middle finger, I'm going to be doing a marble tip, and I'm using Royal Blue, Blue Lagoon and Powder Blue, which are all from Glitterama, to do this. I've placed really wet beads of those colours down onto the nail and simply swirled my brush through them. I absolutely love an acrylic marble, and these particular colours from Glitterama, they work better slightly medium to wet, so I find them really nice for things like marble. And then I'm just repeating that same process with those same three colours. As you'll see, I really carefully swirl my brush through it because I don't want to merge the colours too much or mush them together. And then all I'm doing is blending out the back of that marble so that there's not a harsh line where the marble ends, because I'm going to be blending the all natural over the top. So I'm just feathering it back ever so slightly, as you can see. Just making sure my side walls are nice and neat. And then I did allow this a minute or two to set off camera. And then once those colours had dried, like I said, I'm popping down the all natural. So I've placed my bead down. It's a medium to wet consistency bead. I blended out the back of it and then I'm just pulling it over the top of that marble. It doesn't need to create a perfect fade because I knew I was going to be adding some glitter, but I'm just trying to get it to fade out as best as I can. And that's why I picked up a more medium to wet consistency bead, just so it's a little bit more easier to blend out. And then I'm coming in with my cuticle bead. So as always, I tilt my finger down when I'm working at the cuticle area because I don't want any of the product to run back and flood the cuticle. Obviously, I'm working on a silicone hand, but I try to work exactly the same as though I would if I was working on myself. And then I'm just blending that bead of acrylic out over the previous bead. I don't want to take this down over the marble. I've already created my ombre, so I'm just making sure that I've got the cuticle area nice and neat and the coverage, etc. I'm happy with. And then I'm going to be using a really pretty glitter mix, which is from Charlie's Nail Art. I think this one is called Magic Candy Dust, sorry. And it's a really pretty iridescent mix, but it reflects a really nice bluey green colour. I will show you it when I've finished the entire set, when I show you the clip at the end. But I just felt it worked perfectly for the whole beach vibe. And again, it's kind of also got a bit of a sandy colour tone to it as well. So it works well over that all natural because that is being the sand for our beach style. And then over the top of that, I'm just popping on one of these little seashells. These are also from Charlie's Nail Art. So I've just placed down a bead of acrylic, and these are quite stiff. So I bend them slightly before applying them onto the nail, but then I set them down in that bead of clear acrylic and just hold them into place, bending them that little bit more so that they adhere to the curve of the nail. And then as the acrylic is setting, I can let go and it's all held in place until I encapsulate. And then I'm moving on to the ring finger. Now this nail is a 4-colour ombre, so because I'm going to be using 4 colours and I want each colour blend to look as perfect as possible, I work really thin when I'm applying my colours, so that if I make any mistakes or if I'm not happy with the blend, I can come in and add more of each colour without ending up with a too bulky nail. So I've started off by applying the royal blue at the very tip area, blended it out just like I would if I was doing a 2-colour ombre, allowed it to set slightly for a minute or two, and then I'm coming in with my next colour, which is the blue Lagoon, and I'm applying that exactly the same, but as you can see I've worked a little bit wetter with it so that I can blend it down over that royal blue, keeping my brush nice and wet so I can clean up the royal blue if too much of the blue Lagoon takes over. And here I'm just coming in with a little bit more of the blue Lagoon so I could create a bit more of a fade at the back so that the next colour hasn't got a harsh line to work over. And all the time I'm keeping my brush nice and wet and running it over the colours so that it all just blends together really nicely. These colours are quite shimmery, so they blend together a lot easier than flat colours. So again, I allowed the blue Lagoon to set for a mo, and then I'm coming in with powder blue. This one's a little bit more pigmented, so it was a little harder to blend, but again, keeping my brush wet made that blend a lot easier to get. So I've placed that down exactly the same as before, but because it's quite pigmented, I've just got a bit more of a clean up to do over the previous colours. So you'll see I sort of blend forwards and backwards when I'm doing a 4-colour ombre, just because there's so many colours to blend together, if that makes sense. So I'm just coming in with another small bead of that powder blue here, just to build up the coverage a little bit more. And then making sure the back of that bead is blended out, ready for our next colour, which is the All Natural. And then I'm placing this down at the cuticle area, using the tip of my brush to get a neat cuticle to begin with. So at this point, I'm not focusing on the blend, I'm just getting a nice neat cuticle line. And then I'll come in with another bead of acrylic to work on that blend. So I'm picking it up, placing it pretty much directly over the previous bead, but I'm focusing this one more on blending out and creating a fade. This again was slightly harder because of the colour, but I just kept coming in with small beads until I was happy with it. It doesn't matter too much if I'm building up a little bit of thickness in this area of the nail, because one, all of these colours are strength powders, so they don't actually need to be encapsulated for structure purposes. So really I only need to encapsulate this nail to protect the design. So as you can see, I've pretty much built up a lot of the apex area using that natural colour. So when it comes to encapsulating, I will just encapsulate with a thin layer simply to protect those blends and to build up more structure at the tip area, if that makes sense. But I'm just working that All Natural into the powder blue, and then I come in with a little bit of powder blue, and I'm pretty much just painting this on a really small wet bead just to help that colour pop. And then I do the same for all of the colours, just so they look nice and vibrant. I loved this nail, to be honest. I was so pleased with how the gradient between the colours turned out. I had obviously done it previous. If you check out my community tab on YouTube, I did do a similar design for a collaboration with Tali's Nail Art, but I didn't get a chance to record it, so I really wanted to do a similar design again so I could share how I did it with you guys. So I had like a practice run at that gradient nail, but I was really pleased with how it turned out and how well those 4 colours worked together. But anyway, on to the little finger. I'm coming in with the royal blue at the tip end, and this nail is also an ombre, but just a 2-colour one. Then I'm coming in with my next bead, just building up the coverage, making sure that tip area is nice and opaque and fully covered. And these colours are very pigmented, and they've also got that shimmer to them, so I tend to clean off my brush a lot more when working with these kind of colours. Otherwise I do find my monomer ends up quite shimmery and contaminated. So then once I'd allowed the blue to set, I'm coming in with the All Natural, tapping it into place at that cuticle area to begin with, and then dragging it down towards the blue. Just making sure to get a nice neat cuticle area. When I'm working with an ombre this way, I kind of get my cuticle area neat first before doing my blend. Sometimes I'll do it the other way around actually, but I felt like it worked out a lot easier for this particular set doing it like this. And then because these colours are quite opposite, as in the blue's quite dark and the natural's quite light. They are naturally that little bit harder to ombre together. So what I like to do is work quite thin and then just come in with more of each of the colours if it's needed. So you'll see here I'm just coming in with small wet beads of the natural colour and building up the blend. And then I will come in with a small wet bead of the royal blue to build up that side as well. I just find that that way works a lot easier for me. So I'll just keep doing that until I'm happy with how the nail looks. And then I'm just going to use a teeny tiny bead of clear acrylic to dip into my raw glitter, and I'm just going to swoosh that across the ombre. As you can see, when I was creating that ombre, I took the all natural slightly further up one side because I wanted the nail to have that diagonal effect to it. And then I'm just tapping on some more glitter to build up the coverage there. And I will also be popping on one of those shells over the top of this. Anyway, whilst I'm doing that, let me check in with all of you guys. How are you all doing? I hope that you are all doing okay. I know a lot of my nail tech friends are currently waiting for some clarification on when they can get back to doing clients. So if you are one of those who are waiting still, I hope soon enough you get some idea of when you can open back up again, as it all does seem a little bit frustrating at the moment. But yeah, I really hope that you are all keeping safe and well. So back to the nails, we have jumped back to the pointer finger. Off camera, I did sharpen up my smile line. I was quite pleased with how this extended nail bed turned out, to be honest. They are something I struggle with, as I've said in previous videos, but this one went quite well. So I did only have to use my file just to make it that little bit more crisp. And then I'm coming in with that royal blue and I'm focusing this right down on those wings of the nail. I've done a fairly deep smile line, so I want to make sure that that colour gets right down there and that there's no gaps. And the tip of this nail is going to be an ombre, so I'm ombreing the royal blue and the blue lagoon together. They are two colours that ombre together so effortlessly, so that was why I chose to do those two on this tip area. Here I'm just coming in with a little bit more of that royal blue though, just to build up the coverage and take it further down the nail. It doesn't matter that I have got some on the extended nail bed because I can file this away when it comes to finish filing. So then I'm coming in with that blue lagoon, placing it down right at the tip of the nail and blending it back, keeping my side walls as neat as I can. So I'm pulling off any excess acrylic that isn't needed. And then I'm just blending those two colours together. As I said before, they're both shimmery, so they blend together effortlessly. And then once I am happy with this blend, this now will need to be encapsulated. However, I did do all of the encapsulating in this video off camera because the design was already quite long. Like, the design took quite a long time to do. So even though I'd sped the video up, it seems quite long still. So I didn't want to bore you all or put up a too long video. So I did cut out the encapsulating, but I have left it in previous videos. So do check them out if you want to see how I encapsulate my designs. And then I just left you guys a little clip of what the nails looked like once all that design work had finished. And then, like I said, I did encapsulate them off camera. And then I did all of my filing, shaping, buffing, scrubbed away all of the dust and all of that jazz. And we're then ready to come in and top coat. Oh no, sorry, actually before top coating, I'm just going to pop on two of these little starfish charms, which are from Charlie's Nail Art. Of course, beach nails need some starfish. So I'm just popping them on just over that glitter shell because I liked that effect. And I've simply popped them on with some nail glue. If I was doing this set on myself, I think I would set these with either some jewelry gel or a small bead of clear acrylic just to make sure they last the full duration of the set. But because they're on my Glamerliz, I just popped them on with some glue. And then it's time to come in and do the absolute best bit, which is top coating. So I'm top coating today with my Modelones No Wipe top coat. I'm just applying a nice generous layer of this to all of the nails, and then I will pop them in to cure for 60 seconds. As you will see on the next nail, I was being a little bit lazy and didn't want to reach for my nail art brush to go around the starfish. But you don't actually want to get any top coat on top of your charms, as it just ruins their effect. You know, it smooths them out, and a lot of nail charms like crystals have different cuts and things like that. So you want to make sure you're taking your top coat around any charms or gems, and this is a lot easier to do with a nail art brush rather than the gel brush. But I was just being really lazy and just doing it with my top coat brush. But on the little finger, I did have to come in with a nail art brush. So I just use a nail art detailer brush and make sure to take that top coat all around those starfish so that there's no gaps that are not top coated. And I just absolutely loved this nail. It was hard to pick a favourite in this set. I was genuinely pleased with how each nail turned out, but I love this one. I think the marble come out really, really well, and the whole shell and starfish just really make the set pop. I absolutely love the beach, and I've really missed going throughout lockdown, as obviously I've not gone nowhere near as much as I would. So, you know, doing some beach nails, it was kind of a bit like, if you can't go to the beach, bring the beach to you. So I was really, really pleased with this design. They're definitely a set I would wear on myself, but at the moment I'm just not really getting on with long nails on myself. All of the hand washing and the wearing gloves and all of that, I've kind of kept having short nails. So my Glamerliz has luckily rocked a good few long sets. But anyway, guys, we're coming towards the end of the video, so I want to thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this design as much as I enjoyed doing it. As always, at the end of the video, I've left a little clip of what the finished result looked like, as well as a picture. If you did like this video, then please give it a thumbs up or let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would absolutely love it if you hit subscribe. Take care, lots of love, and I shall see you all again in the next video. Bye bye.